Shaun recently took the Bringing Baby Home class, and I'm just so grateful he's here to share a little bit about how it went and what he learned. So, what made you decide to take Bringing Baby Home in the first place?
Sure. So my partner and I are both first-time parents. Um, there's sort of generally a lot going on as far as work, and then of course the pandemic came as well. And with sort of stress plus being a first-time parent, I thought that the class would just be a really good opportunity to dive in. We didn't get to do any in-person, early childhood classes or birthing classes, or things like that. And so bringing home baby, I thought could just serve as a really helpful introduction to how our lives were about to change in probably the largest way that they would and will ever change.
Yeah, totally. So, what's something that you learned from the class, or a win that you got out of the class?
I think overall, the biggest win, the biggest sense of accomplishment through the class for us was really being able to just talk about a lot of the things that we might have each been thinking about separately, and sort of have a space where we could get it all out in the open. So even if uh, we didn't complete talking about each kind of thing right away, we were able to keep going on our own, after each session or each lesson, really over the next week, whatever we had, dove into for that session, we would inevitably talk about throughout the week. And it was just really helpful to have it out in the air, out in the open, and then be able to just start looking at our differences and how we could make them work in this big major life change, and sort of get each other's strengths through that.
Ooh, awesome. So, what impact do you think the class had on your family and on becoming parents?
I think that as joyful and miraculous as having a child is, it also comes with really an extraordinary amount of stress, and especially I think a large part of that stress honestly has to do with the world that we're living in. So there are stresses, you want to make sure everyone is healthy, and the baby, of course, but then there are all these other stresses about maternity leave, and there's no paternity leave, and just making everything work, plus bringing the pandemic in, and making it where we were more isolated and all of that. So I think that what the class did, so what it really did for us was really just present these topics as real. I don't that these stresses are real, that we're not alone in feeling the stresses, that these are common stresses that practically probably every parent feels at one time or another, whether it's in their partnership or in themselves, or just sort of adjusting to all of these very new things that you can learn about as much as possible, but then until it's happening, you don't realize how large of an impact it all has. And so I think that the Bringing Home Baby class, it really just, again, it allowed us to have that space where we could really examine these kinds of things and prep ourselves as much as possible, and our relationship as much as possible, to then experience the joy and the miracle of having a baby.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious how you think it impacted your daughter.
I think that through a lot of the exercises that we did in the class, where we needed to sort of talk to each other about things we might otherwise not have talked about, or maybe hadn't talked about since we were dating, just things that are different about us, or those kinds of things. I think bringing those things up, I really think in the end allows us to communicate, especially when we're stressed. And I think that is how it's serving our daughter. I think, she's now 6 months old. So she might not know exactly what we're talking about, obviously. But I'm sure that she does better than she might have otherwise, had we not talked about a lot of these things beforehand.
Awesome. Do you have any other thoughts or anything else that you want to share?
Sure. Yeah. No, I would say just I really truly think so the class itself, there's a curriculum and all of these really, really great things, and it utilizes all of this experience that the Gottmans gained through their research and through their experience. But then I would say that Laura, as our guide and teacher, really served as such a great support through learning these kinds of things, and finding a way to bring them up, and it was very personalized. And then just I really feel that you made an attempt to connect to us individually, as individuals and as a couple, so that the material wasn't just reading the material wrote. It was really, it was fun. Honestly, it was fun. Doing it was fun, and it could have been, it could have been strange or difficult at times, but really it became sort of like a fun experience where we could sort of say, yes, let's examine this thing for a couple of minutes, and then talk about the next thing. So
Yay!
That's what I would. Yeah.
I love to hear that, because I really want it to be fun.
Yeah,
and a special time together.
Yeah,
I love that so much. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I will also say that you've been a phenomenal support, checking in every couple of months to say how are things going. And that at times, it's so intense that I might not respond right away, but it's been very helpful to respond when I'm able, and then have these little check-ins as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Yeah.
You're so welcome. My pleasure. That's what, it warms my heart and makes it feel like it's worth it.
Yeah.
When it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I know it is. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No, it just I really just think that, especially in the isolation, but I know regardless of isolation, that being able to talk directly about the kinds of things that parents will experience as individuals and as a couple is just super helpful for this major change. That's my 15-second 15-second summary.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, cool.